that I've been talking about a bunch of times. It's like checkout. I have something I'd like to buy, you have something you'd like to sell me, pretty fundamental underpinning of the economy, right? Not even talking about the digital economy. And of course, people have taken this process of being able to buy stuff and moved it over to mobile. In fact, they have moved all of it over to mobile, right? Including, what was my favorite, fax? Home fax number? Oh, there it is, daytime fax number, right. Thank God! I mean, now, there's a bunch of reasons this is suboptimal, minus the daytime fax number inclusion. But when you see something like this, what do you think? Kind of like, ugh. I mean, I see this, I'm like, well, there goes my day. It was going pretty good. Have my coffee, and then I was going to fly somewhere, and oh, crap. Whereas something like this, you're like, oh, you know what? I bet I could do that. That doesn't seem so bad. So there's these issues of perception where if you take the time, and by the way, all the same questions here are here, minus this country of residence, which I don't know why they ask. But like, this is really just a question of spending time doing good design work. Right? And it changes the dynamic. Not only does it change the dynamic, but you can actually see quantifiable benefits. When you test the two things, conversion rates are higher, improved interaction times, less time spent. All this good stuff happens when you take the time to implement something like that versus what you have there. And in fact, you can go pretty far here. This is Staples. It used to be 22 inputs. To buy something on mobile, they got it down to 5. Right? They're using a lot of good practices here. So they just don't split input fields. They just ask you your name as opposed to forcing you to succumb to the whims of a database. But we store names as first name, last name in a database, so. Database made me do it, right? Sorry, it's like, this has a name value pair. Addresses, rather than having you fill all this stuff in, we can use the Google Places API. You type a couple characters and you fill all that stuff in. We can use similar inline validation to make sure you provide good contact info, cut down on those 15% of hard bounces for email where you can't contact people. This will drop that number by half for sure. And then we use inline validation for input masks to capture credit card payment in a single input field. You can scan credit card. We use smart defaults. And within 5 input fields, we can get you to buy something instead of 23 things. And there's a lot of stuff going on here, right? I mentioned a bunch of them. And of course, the impacts are good. More people will start. That's that perception thing. It'll take them less time, less clicks, conversion rates go up. All this good stuff happens. So all this iteration is worth it, right? It pays off. It's good work. But again, we're back to taking a paradigm we had before and doing our damn best to make it work okay on these screens, right? And it's a lot of effort. And you can go even further. So here's our friends at Amazon. If you want to buy this little turtle tank, right? You just hit the Buy Now button. Up slides this little thing. You just sort of slide across, and within a day, the little turtle shows up at your house. And there's good things about this too, right? Accounting for one-handed use. You're seeing a lot of mobile design now actually dealing with how people hold and use devices, whereas before they just sort of tried to make desktop layouts fit on mobile. And a big driver for this is back in 2014, only about 7% of smartphones that are active had about 5.5 to 6-inch screens. Now that number is over 40%. So it makes it hard to get your thumbs up to the top of the screen and all those other good things, right? And again, we can look at this and we can say, you know, what are we really iterating toward? Is the goal here to make this existing notion of what checkout is as good as possible? Or are we trying to make something that's a bit more mobile-centric? Hit a button, slide your thumb because you're holding the phone like this. Or can we go even further? So what else Amazon is doing with getting people to buy, because that's kind of their whole thing, right? Get you to buy stuff. They also have this weird little button thing, which you've probably seen, called the Amazon Dash button. And when you first see this, it doesn't look that impressive, or maybe it even isn't that impressive. But the idea is pretty interesting, which is, where do you find out you need more laundry detergent?
The washing machine.
When you're doing laundry. So you just stick it on your laundry machine, you find out you need more, you just hit that button, it shows up. That's it. It sits there where you need it, you tap it once, and ta-da, it's just like another button on the washing machine. I like start, give me more detergent, shows up the next day. Look, compare this little interaction again to that mobile checkout flow I showed you with the daytime fax number. And Amazon's doing more of these things here. They have this store called Amazon Go, and as you can probably guess, I love this tagline, no lines, no checkout. Pretty interesting concept. The way it works is you just sort of walk in and you have a little QR code on your mobile app. You point it at the scanner when you come in, and then you walk around, you look for things you want. Good, take. We'll eat, walk out. And that's it. Right? Once you get over your feelings of being a thief, but that's, societal norms working against us. And grab a bunch of things, take what you want, walk out, no checkout, no lines, nothing. So I was in Seattle recently, they have one of these over there, and ironically there was a line, but it was a line to get in. Right? So I was like waiting in the line to go into the store to be in the lineless store. But that's me, here's a little app, there's the QR code, and sure enough, I went in there, I put the little QR code down on the thing, I walked into the store, I grabbed a drink, I grabbed the snack bar, and I just walked out. It was sometimes these videos are BS, it was exactly like that video. I was like, yeah, walked out. I don't look as good as that guy, but. And then, as I left, it just gave me a little boop, here's the snack and the water you got. And they actually had a nice little animation that shows if they got something wrong, you can kind of change it, adjust it. But it was like pretty spotless. Right? Came in, took what I wanted, left. Now, behind the scenes, to make it that seamless, like the experience I had and the dude had, there's a lot going on. All right, so if we look at what's really happening here, here's how Amazon Go, the store, works. You come in, you scan this QR code, sensor eye says, okay, that's Luke, right? Or at least it says this account. And then what they do is they have cameras around where they can sort of say, okay, this blob of person, or this shape, or these colors, or whatever is associated with that account. And there's cameras that sort of see when you pick stuff up and see what you've picked up and whether or not you've kept it, right? And they will grab some pictures to make sure that they can tell you later that you took this. There's microphones all over the place that point the cameras places. There's pressure, load, infrared, all kinds of sensors everywhere to know what's where and what isn't where. And all of these cameras, all of these microphones, and all these sensors effectively give them a real-time map of everything in the store at any given time. Now that's a huge ream of data that's coming at them at any given point in time. And so they have to have pretty complicated systems that go and deal with all the signal and noise ratio and all this stuff. So there's a lot of machine learning, looking at patterns, what's a real item purchase, what's a real person, they're doing motion detection, whole bunch of stuff, right? I picture it looks something like that. Complicated thing. A lot of technology, right? Not only the hardware, but also the software that makes sense of all that hardware. But all of this complicated stuff goes over here, right? All this technical complexity, when you go in the store, you don't have to think about any of that. Because you just go and take a sandwich and walk out. And to me, this is the money slide. This basically epitomizes the whole job, the whole sort of goal of making software and technology help people. The only way we make that happen is if we take all of this on ourselves, make this our problem, so people can just do what they normally do. Right? This is why I rail so hard against things like, the database has this structure. You know what? You're copping out. Right? Instead of taking the hard work to figure out, well, how would a human actually represent that information? How can I talk to them like a normal person? Like, oh no, the machine made me do it. Right? Coming back to this thing for half a second. This is a really complicated little product. It doesn't seem like it on the surface, but when you hit that button, it connects to your local area network, right? It sends data down those pipes to Amazon that says, here's the order. Then there's a billing system that kicks in that detects fraud, that moves money in real time. There's a global delivery network that then associates that payment to that object, which is in some warehouse somewhere, finds the closest warehouse, somebody goes and gets it, puts it in the truck, it shows up at your house. Super complicated. And all you have to do is like, right? Sticking with this theme for a second, a lot of people have been really praising Apple's AirPods. And I think one of the big reasons why this is such a nice experience and people have been giving it so many kudos as a kind of well-designed product is, how do you make the connection between your headphones and your phone using AirPods? You just open the box. It connects it. That's it. You open it up, it's like, hey, connect it to this phone. Have you ever tried to like Bluetooth connect something? Right? It's like, open the settings app, find the network, fifth the current key B, C, D, wait for connection, look at device, find pairing code 45D, enter pairing code 45D. What the hell is that? It's exactly what I was talking about earlier. It's taking all this technical complexity and shoving it in front of people and being like, you deal with it. Right? Versus this, they had to build their own custom chip to make this happen. Or maybe some kind of chip thing, I don't know. And they put a hell of a lot of work, so all you have to do is just open the box. You want to play music? Just put it in your ear. You want the music to stop? Take it out of your ear. You want them to charge up? Put them back inside the little case. There's like literally no interface here. There's no buttons, there's no knobs, there's no dials, there's no little scroll bars. Right? There's no input fields. Here's another example. If you are trying to get an answer to a question, what do? You ask somebody, right? You say, hey, can you help me with this? That's exactly how this product works. You basically ask it a question, like, hey Google, what's the name of the villain in the Professor Poopy Pants movie? Something, Diarrhea, Pee-Pee Pants, Epstein, I can't remember, Esquire III. It will tell you. And I like all these examples together because I feel like all these are examples of technology bending to people, right? As opposed to people bending to technology. And the reason why I like pulling them all together is I feel like we're now actually at a point where these things are starting to become real. Where we actually have the technical prowess, the capability to do human-like things with computers instead of forcing people to do computer-like things with computers. These things ship today, you can use them right now, and they're not perfect by any means, but the principle is really awesome, right? And I think the simplest way to sort of articulate the difference here, Bill Buxton has this phrase, natural user interfaces, as compared to graphical user interfaces, which basically take this lifetime of learning that you've had throughout your life and try to use that to generate the interface. How do you get things in the real world? You just take them. How do you recognize whether or not you should give that person $10? You look at them, oh yeah, I owe you $10, here's the $10. How do you get an answer to a question? You ask it out loud.